Welcome everyone to this exciting game from the Join Dota League between Nerd Zone and 4FC. It's Pander here, and this should be an exciting one as both teams are off to a great start in terms of the draft. Nerd Zone have picked up Puck's Centaur and are hovering around Rubic, giving them an amazing set of early to mid game CC and damage, and it should be a pretty powerful lineup as 4FC have picked up the Mirana and the Shadow Demon, giving them a great combination already and a very easy to set up arrow that should spell an incredibly aggressive tri-lane. Nerd Zone have done a great job with their bans already as they banned out Chrilee's Lone Druid, which gave them incredible problems in game number 1, and they banned out some of the incredibly strong heroes as well, the Ancient Apparition and the Invoker. Like in the Ember Spirit were also taken out by 4FC, and they banned out some of their demons in the Witch Doctor and the Dazzle, two very good baiting heroes that are just incredibly good at turning fights around and making sure someone doesn't die to a combo like the Mirana and Shadow Demon. Nerdzone's still trying to decide if they want Rubic, and they do, and in this case 4FC immediately respond with the Wraith King. The question is, how are they going to run this Wraith King? Is he going to be a support or is he going to be a carry? At the moment I'd have to say carry, which means aggressive tri-lane, then a mid laner, and Wraith King on the safe lane up against whoever Nerd Zone decides to send down there. Most likely the Centaur in this case, as Centaur would do a pretty good job of just zoning out the Wraith King with his high burst damage and stun, though Wraith King shouldn't be zoned out incredibly hard, just due to the fact he's the Wraith King and pretty tanky early on. Puck likely to go to the mid lane with this, as that's kind of a new venture for Puck, as he was once the king of the mid lane. Right now he's more in the off lane role, just due to his survivability and the fact that past level 2 you pretty much can't kill him. Nerd Zone have gone and tipped their hand a little bit, showing the Nyx Assassin likely as a support, and that means Rubic Nyx as part of a tri-lane, pretty solid. Not a great at stopping at Mirana Shadow Demon, but still a pretty solid tri-lane nonetheless. And that means with one more strong, likely ranged hero on the side of Nerd Zone, they'll have the ability to just go up against the Mirana Shadow Demon +1. And it wouldn't surprise me if they decide to send the Visage as their pick right here on the side of 4FC. Just give them another reliable burst, a few extra stuns, and a good scouting tool for the Mirana arrow. Another good choice here, just be something like a Lion or Shadow Shaman. Get that extra burst, have good pushing power, and just go to town whenever you land the disruption into arrow combination. There would be still a fairly squishy lineup, but it would be incredibly great throughout the landing phase, and 4FC could snowball an early game, like they tried to in game 1, but just to no avail. This pick is going to determine whether Wraith King is the support role or the carry. Still think he's going to be in the carry role, just due to how they're going to want to run this. And 4FC still taking their time. I'm not sure who they're going to pick up. Likely going to be the other support for this combo at this point. And that would mean Chrilee would go to the Wraith King as a carry. Cook a Clockwork. Not exactly sure what they're going with here. But that could set up some, I guess, aggressive dual lanes is what they're going to look for. Though that would put Wraith King to a support role. Mirana Shadow Demon, Wraith King, yeah, that's about how I feel about that tri-lane. It's not powerful enough to really stop anyone, but it's not weak enough to really get bullied around and get amazing farm. I'm not feeling that aggressive tri-lane. It's a good combo, but it's not a great combo like they could have picked up with pretty much any other support. Templar Assassin can be the ban by Nerd Zone. I like this choice. It would have been a great mid laner for 4FC, giving them a lot of extra damage. And they don't have a great way to burn through the refraction. They have nothing that just bursts it down like a rocket barrage or something like that. Instead, they have a bunch of single target or short AoE abilities that just do a ton of burst damage with one hit, and that's easily soaked up by the refraction. Gyrocopter would be a solid choice here by Nerd Zone. Give them great AoE, give them a good just amount of burst and extra control. It'd be a good setup as well. and it'd be a very solid carry for this role. But we're going to see they pick up, as it has to go up against the Mirana Shadow Demon, likely Wraith King, unless they want to still run Wraith King on the safe lane, put Clockwork in the mid, or mid Wraith King. But I don't think Wraith King stands a chance up against the Puck. His Puck's base damage is pretty high, he has a solid attack animation, and he always has his abilities to back him up. And with the Luna ban out by 4FC, it's going to be Spectre picked up. Like the Spectre choice here. It's still a bit risky, but it gives them another split pusher. Nerd Zone can run a 4 and have Spectres jump in. And 4FC go quickly with a Morphling. So that kind of messes up the lanes, as I'm not exactly sure how the lanes are going to go overall. Okay, it is a support Wraith King, so as Boomski took it up. But we'll see who they actually decide to go with as their lanes. So that's likely Mirana, Shadow Demon, Wraith King up top, up against Rubic, Nyx Assassin, Spectre, unless Nerd Zone want to try and avoid it, which I'd recommend at this point. Which puts Clockwork, I guess, off lane, yeah, and Chrilee towards the mid lane with the Morphling. Have to be how it goes, but that's not a very good mid lane. Morphling doesn't do that great against Puck until at least level 3 or 4, once he gets a point into Morph, and just has the ability to get a lot more agility. Puck has great base damage, Morphling does not. And with this, we're going to see how the lanes actually progress as we do get into game. First, we'll go down Nerd Zone. Adoa playing the Spectre, Atonement Forever on the Rubic, Satan up on the Nyx Assassin, Vlado playing the Puck, and Sliz on the Centaur Warrunner. And at this point, they're looking like they're going to try for first blood. Or not. They could have run all 5 down to the enemy woods like they've done before and try for that first blood. It's a good option, but they decide not to go with it. On the side of 4FC, Chrilee's going to take up the mid lane on the Morphling. Wraith King being played by Boomski. Loco on the Clockwork. Strangby on Mirana. And Juicy on the Shadow Demon. This is definitely an aggressive tri-lane. There's no reason to run all the way up here if you're not going aggressive with your tri-lane. And it looks like it's going to be dodged. I don't see any way for Spectre to run all the way up top at this point, especially with Nyx and Rubic all the way down here. They're set up for an aggressive tri-lane to counter the aggressive tri-lane, which is a great decision by Nerd Zone. Should give them a pretty solid laning advantage. Centaur, I don't think, has any chance of being killed in this. They have good crowd control, but just not enough damage for the first few levels. Wraithfire Blast, it's meh in terms of damage. It's a lot more about that pretty solid crowd control. And Shadow Demon's going to need a level or 2 for that combo to be fully effective. Same thing with Mirana. As Mirana rotates down towards the mid lane, and she does not actually go down. They still think it's going to be a safe lane Spectre at this point. And it's a fair assumption because it's pretty much a 50-50 shot. Do Nerd Zone go for the aggressive tri-lane, or do they play it safe with the Spectre? And they decide to go aggressive. It's their only real option at this point. But still, it could have stayed up top just fine as well. But up against Clockwork, this should be a pretty easy lane for Spectre. Clockwork should be able to come in for a few last hits. It's just the problem of how greedy does he get. Does he play it super greedy and try and go for all of them? And he's already leveled up Cogs, which is not a good sign. You want to pick up the Flare in this case, just because it does pretty good damage and it allows him to last hit in situations like this. Just throw up the Flare once you see him hit about 80 health. Take the easy kill. Clockwork can be in a bit of trouble as Nyx Assassin gets pulled into the Cogs. Same with the Spectre. And easy first blood, as there was no hope for Clockwork there. And there comes the rotation by 4FC, just a little too late. Shadow Demon and Wraith King not able to come and help. Surprised they didn't stop by this mid lane and try and help the Morphling out just a little bit on their way down. Morphling finally hits level 2 and has a decent amount of agility, but still, down over 10 damage to the Puck. Good luck last hitting, and their attack animations are fairly similar, as there's not a huge delay on either side. So it's going to be a pretty Puck-heavy matchup for at least another level or 2 until Morphling gets more stats. Spectre going to go try and deny this pull camp. Kind of a greedy decision as he's caught up by everyone on the side of 4FC. He's going to take a lot of damage. Will he get his dagger off? Yes, he does, and jukes through. Nice impale as well by Satan. Atonement Forever going to be using the lift, and Adoa saves himself, plus a good bit of help from the supports, just to ensure that he stays alive. And so far, Spectre doing pretty well, keeping up with the aggressive Mirana. And are we going to see more aggression? Shadow Demon? No. Juicy decides to back up. There's no real way to engage. That's way too deep. Up top, Mirana losing out to the Centaur. Centaur with a huge base damage at this point. He's up 15 damage on the Mirana. And there's just not a whole lot she can do. Her attack animation's good, but not great. Centaur's a melee hero, so his attack animation's very solid. And that's just an incredibly hard lane. Mid lane, Morphling's getting doubled up by the puck at this point. And that's not a good sign for Morphling. He's also out of bottle charges, so he's going to have to start bottle crowing or finding a rune. And it's not easy to pick up a rune as a Morphling when you're up against the puck. Puck can easily just throw out the orb and beat you to pretty much any rune, unless you know where it is. And these boards are not particularly great for rune scouting. They see the top rune, they don't see the bottom rune, so they don't know what kind of aggression is going to be waiting there. Clockwork in a bit of trouble as he does take a big burst, and it's going to be Rubic picking up the kill. Atonement snagging a nice one. Only problem is these kills aren't going to the Spectre. And if they went to the Spectre, that'd say this lane's going amazingly well for Nerd Zone. But they're going to the support. Still, they're kills, and they're a lot of free experience. Spectre almost level 4 at this point. Well, the Wraith King's 1. Shadow Demon just hit 2. And this is looking very grim for 4FC. This started off similar to how Game 1 started, where there was just an aggressive tri-lane failure, and it's looking like that again. Shadow Demon going to come to the mid lane, try and give a little help out to the Morphling, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Shadow Demon doesn't do a whole lot against Puck. Puck can just immediately phase shift afterwards. Clockwork rotates up top, and it's going to be Clockwork up against the Centaur. Not a great matchup for Clockwork. Centaur's still got almost 10 damage on him. And the bottom lane, Mirana should be okay against Spectre. She's got a level advantage. She should have enough damage to bully Spectre out of lane, if the supports can stay there and do decent work. Problem is, it's dual lanes at the moment because Morphling was shut on in the middle lane, and it is just not a good matchup for the Morphling. Really surprised they picked him last and didn't give him a little bit more farm priority up against the Puck. But they figured that with the aggressive tri-lane, they had to win it pretty big, and so far it's been a disaster to say the least on the side of 4FC. Clockwork just using the Rocket Flare to scout out the supports. And it's a great option to have on Clockwork, just to make sure the supports don't get a good wraparound or start stalking the middle lane. Because if they go to the mid lane, get a nice lift up on Chrilee, they could easily take him out. Spectre going to jump right in on the Mirana. Mirana should be okay if she gets a good leap off. And she does. Nice disruption by the Shadow Demon. Arrow does land on the Nyx Assassin. No points in that carapace. Puck picks off the Morphling in the mid lane. And Shadow Demon's going to lose his own life. And that's terrible for 4FC. They've given up too much in this early game. And this should be a pretty easy victory for Nerd Zone. We'll have to take a look at the Morphling kill later, just to see how Puck did it. But it just looks like the Morphling didn't have enough health. Well, trying to morph too much agility in order to keep up with Puck's damage and just couldn't. That's just the one really big disadvantage of playing a Morphling is early game, your damage is pitiful unless you want to sacrifice your health. Late game, you get enough bonus stats from the way you build that you don't have to worry about it. But at this point, you have to greatly manage your agility and strength, or you could just get shut down. Spectre going to rotate up into the top lane. Not level 5 just yet. And Centaur is level 6, but he does not have the ultimate available. And he does do some good damage, but no chance to actually go in. Nice work with the Clockwork, getting a good mana burning cogs. And this means Spectre's going to go up to free farming. They weren't happy just getting farming kills on her. They want to get complete free farm. And I'm still surprised that they decided to go this way. They were dominating that bottom lane or in great shape to continue. But Nerd Zone say we want more farm on Spectre. And they're going to get it as she's off to a great start. Already phase boots, likely into drums. And there's not much of a better start unless those kills went to her. But still, 1-0-2, can't ask for much more than that. This aggressive tri-lane is not going to get a whole lot. Wraith King is level 4 as he soaked a lot of extra experience when Mirana died and the Shadow Demon died, as he was the only one with any health left. So he decided to stick in lane and just soak. Problem is, Rubic and Nyx are both level 4 already, and that's not looking good for 4FC. Morphling might be in a bit of trouble as Rubic does rotate in. Centaur does teleport in as well, but they no chance to go in on it. Rubic's going to rotate up top and just provide a little help to the Spectre, while Centaur's going to rotate down bottom and just soak up experience and extra farm. At this point, they're going to go on Mirana, do some decent damage, but Centaur a little off the mark on that stun. Just not enough there. And Centaur just does not have the movement speed. He could have popped the ultimate and possibly gotten it off, but that would probably clue Mirana in to just leap, and leap quickly at that point. Clockwork doing what he can to make sure that Spectre doesn't have any mana in this top lane. Adoa just doesn't have the ability to keep mana up, so she's not going to have an ultimate at this point. Centaur does pop the ultimate as they go right on the Shadow Demon, do some good damage, but I'm not sure it's enough to kill. Nyx is out of mana, and Centaur taken very low, should go down here. Has the Soul Catcher on him, and there's the Wraithfire Blast. Should be a pretty easy kill. And there it is. First kill on the board by 4FC, and exactly what they need to get this ball rolling. It also pushes Mirana up ahead of Centaur overall, who's pretty close to his blink, but just not there yet. Puck gonna rotate in. He's got a double damage rune, and ooh boy, she's gonna do a bunch of damage if he decides to go in, but instead he doesn't. And Shadow Demon wisely tries to throw out the disruption if Puck went in, but he decided not to. Morphling is getting a good bit of farm considering he's caught up at this point, at least to the rest of his team and to the Centaur, which is pretty good considering how badly he got shut out of the early game. And it's looking up for 4FC. They have the ability to just get a late game Morphling and completely dominate with him, as they have the stronger carries late game. Spectre's good, but it's up against a Morphling, Mirana, and a lot of CC and ways to just shut her down. Spectre's not going to be able to go Radiance without a big repercussions this game. Same thing with the Diffuser Blade, which is the standard build, as Spectre generally like to go drums into a fairly offensive item like the Diffuser Blade, like Radiance. But this game, she's going to have her illusion stolen by the Shadow Demon. Is Clockwork in a lot of trouble. Not sure how he's going to get out of this. He tries to hook in. They do pop the Mirana ultimate, and he's saved by the disruption. Centaur in a lot of trouble and will go down again. Clockwork's safe thanks to the Moonlight Shadow. And it's going to be a pretty easy kill. Just a little bit over aggression by Nerd Zone, and 4FC playing well to make a comeback. Take a quick look at the graphs. I don't see any aggression going to happen anytime soon. And was once a 3,000 gold lead down to under 2,000 experience, coming back to even, as it's pretty close overall. And I don't see either team pulling ahead anytime soon. I thought Nerd Zone were going to try just steamroll this game, but their kind of weird laning decisions kind of disagreed. Morphling trying to rotate in. He's under the guise of invisibility rune. Doesn't look like it, but it's there. As Morphling's one of those few heroes that doesn't change a whole lot. The waveform just kind of makes the invisibility effect not that noticeable. Centaur up top looking to gank. Still a long way from his Blink Dagger. He could have had it if he just stayed and farmed up top, but instead he decided to go rotate around the map and has died twice because of it, and that really hurts his item progression. Though he should be able to jungle pretty effectively, doing the Tranquil Boots trick. Just throwing them down so they don't go on cooldown and letting him heal up pretty effectively. Clockwork going to try and go in the mid lane. Hook off the mark. Nowhere even close. Vlado doing a very good job of avoiding it. Great job of avoiding the waveform as well. And Chrilee pays for it as he just gets chunked down. But there's the urn charge thrown out, as Clockwork does have the urn picked up. I like this choice on Clockwork because it gives him a lot of extra mobility in terms of rotating around the map. He can take that harassment, then come back into the fight with the urn charge popped. It also gives him the mana regeneration he needs. Nyx Assassin gonna go for it, does get it off, but not in time. Dream Coil is popped, but Puck off the mark. Spectre pops the haunt, and she will not go towards the mid lane. They're instead going to pop the Centaur ultimate and do nothing with it, I guess. The top lane, Spectre in a little bit of trouble, but Rubic there with the lift and should keep him just fine, as Spectre's able to back away pretty easily. Puck has the Blink Dagger now, so he's going to be a lot more aggressive. And they popped a lot of ultimates, but they didn't really go on him. And I think that's the big weakness NerdZone has at the moment, is they don't have that full coordination of a team that's played together a long time. Wraith King should get some decent farm up here, as Boomski's going to be able to just contest the Spectre at all ends, get a lot of extra experience, which is exactly what he needs. He has the ultimate, but really needs that second level. The difference in cooldown is amazing, as it's 100 seconds off with every single level. And that means Wraith King just needs that extra experience. Hit level 11, and your ultimate becomes at least usable once every now and then. Level 1, it's maybe usable once a game, as it's incredibly long in terms of cooldown. Dual lanes have developed, as NerdZone really want to make sure this Centaur doesn't get ganked and killed off again. It's coming at the expense of Spectre, who's still farming pretty well. Morphling's also farming well in the mid lane, though the question is, will Spectre get caught out here? And I think she has to expect something. Yeah, there's the rotation end of the Nyx Assassin. He's got Vendetta, he's got the Sentry Ward if he wants to place it down. Rubic's up here already. Not level 6 just yet, which is kind of hurting him, as they need to be able to steal that spell. Especially considering he can steal a lot of good ones. Nyx Assassin is in Vendetta up, doesn't have too much longer. But I'm not sure they want to go on the Wraith King. There's already a Sentry Ward here placed by 4FC, so they realize Nyx Assassin's going to gank up here. Question is, what path will he take? And Vendetta wears off. He doesn't actually go for it. Wise move in the end, Satan just saying, not worth the risk. And then he's just going to back away. Shadow Demon waiting in the wings, and he is definitely spotted out, but they aren't going to be able to really go on him. Clockwork spotted out too, so it's a tri-lane with Clockwork, Wraith King, Shadow Demon. Not the greatest of kill potentials, not the greatest of really anything, but it should allow Boomski to get some good farm on the Wraith King. He has Chrilee good farm in the mid lane, so he's caught up enough that he can contest the Puck. Especially considering Puck doesn't go any damage items early. And it's going to be fairly quiet for the next few minutes, as I don't see Mirana rotating in. She's gone for the Midas already. And the Midas is going to be an excellent choice this game, just due to the fact there's not going to be a whole lot of fights. They can take it late with a Morphling, even though he is pretty weak at this point. It wouldn't surprise me if he went Midas as well, just to accelerate his farm. It wouldn't be a terrible timing on the Midas. Pick it up about 15, 16 minutes. It's not good, but considering your team, it's okay. Wraith King likely to go for the Midas as well. He's already picked up a Glove of Haste. Nyx Assassin is there, does get the Vendetta strike off, but this is not looking good. Nice spike Carapace, and Shadow Demon goes down. Centaur pops the ultimate. Mirana has shown up, but there's a stolen Wraithfire Blast, ensuring that Clockwork's going to go down. Spectre likely to fall as well. Already one life burned on the Wraith King, but Nyx Assassin is going to go down. And this is a pretty good fight. Nyx Assassin not actually go down. That was Rubic, my mistake. And they managed to kill the Wraith King and the Morphling and the Shadow Demon. Terrible fight for 4FC. It looked pretty good with the Morphling coming in. But that's the problem with this Morphling at the moment. He doesn't have the items. He picks up a Ghost Scepter. So, quick Ethereal Blade. Not sure that's the right choice this game. It's going to be good for picking off Rubic and Puck throughout the mid game, but it's not enough at this point. He has to pick up a bigger item. And he has to almost pick up the Lincoln Sphere just so he doesn't get initiated on and burned down. He's not going to have enough agility to really make good use of the Ethereal Blade when he picks it up. As 1,000 health, not very useful at this point in the game. He's got to have more than that, or he's just going to be lifted up and just wrecked. Might see some aggression on this Mirana. She's doing pretty well overall, but just not enough for her team. It's a Mirana. She's gone Midas, so she's gone all in for the late game. And this is just not looking like the game's going to go too late. The Spectre going to go diving in deep, does some good damage right behind the tower, so the tower's not going to hit. And everybody comes in on the side of 4FC, but there's the ultimate thrown. Mirana Arrow does some good damage. Nice damage, and Spectre is taken out. Clockwork going to be taken out as well. Wraith King falls. Mirana falls. Everyone falling on the side of 4FC. Morphling does get an illusion out, but whoop-de-doo, you picked up an illusion. Puck going to jump in, do some good damage. Morphling has his waveform. He pops the Ghost Scepter and should be just fine, but Centaur shows off his blink, and big damage as they jump on him and take him out. Everybody but the Shadow Demon dies for just a lonely Spectre, and now a tower is even going to fall. This is looking grim for 4FC, and I'm not sure what they can do to turn it around. Outside just had the Morphling split push, though this lineup does do very well against split push. Already 2 blinks, likely to see a third in just a few moments as Nyx Assassin will pick it up. Spectre pops the Haunt. Shadow Demon does not get hit by the stun, but disrupts himself anyways, and free kill. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And it looks like Spectre could be going for Sanjin Yasha almost at this point. He's picked up Belt of Giant Strength and Ogre Club. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what he went for. It'd be a little bit of a trolley build, but it would give him the movement speed and survivability that he needs to actually move forward. Wraith King waiting in the wings. Boomski trying to get in, but does not have his ultimate up for a good while. And this should be an easy kill on the Centaur. He pops the ultimate. Moonlight Shadow is up, and he does fall, but Clockwork not going to be killed. Nice cogs as Vlado makes a big air jumping in. Puck does take a good bit of damage, but he should be okay. He's... No. He thought his Blink Dagger didn't have an... excuse me. Thought his Blink Dagger had a little shorter of a cooldown on it, but instead it was not on cooldown for a while. And big win as Mirana takes top tower. So this is 4FC's opportunity to come back. They're down a good bit. They're down 5,000 gold, 3,000 experience, but it's not that bad. It just feels a lot worse than it is at this point, as the Puck and Spectre are pretty farmed. Same thing with the Centaur. Clockwork has basically been relegated to a support this game with the items he's building, and letting Boomski go up and pick up the Midas, pick up the soon-to-be Magic Stick, and then go into more of a carry role, which is kind of surprising. Though I'm really worried that it's not going to come in time, as Wraith King just doesn't come online until pretty late, considering he's gotten virtually no farm. He's gotten the levels, but levels are not that important on Wraith King compared to actually getting that first item or two. Another big issue I foresee for the Wraith King is just getting his mana burned out. Nyx Assassin, once he starts maxing out that mana burn, could easily chunk down his mana so that he can't use more than one Wraithfire Blast, and he really needs to use multiple Wraithfire Blasts in the fight in order to catch on to people, as this is a pretty mobile lineup coming out of Nerd Zone, and I don't foresee them being able to just run in there, take a kill, and then back away, as Nerd Zone's lineup's all about jumping in there and just bursting everybody down with their high amount of area of effect damage. Puck going for the Dagon and going for the quick win, as generally you'd see the Puck save up for something like a Hex at this point, or a Yule Scepter for survivability. Instead, he's going all out damage, just trying to burst someone down. And it's not a terrible decision considering Morphling's got the Ghost Scepter. As soon as he pops the Ghost Scepter, ouch, that Dagon is going to burn. 4FC have grouped up in the bottom lane with everybody but Shadow Demon, who's kind of been off on his own. Juicy not on page with his team, as he's kind of been rotating around, just picking up farm, trying to find levels where he can. And it would have been greatly beneficial to see him with the rest of his team throughout most of these engagements. Centaur might have been spotted out there. I think he was, considering how 4FC's running away. It was close, but instead they decided to back up, play it safe, and just be sound. Nyx Assassin's popped the Vendetta. It's only level 1, so it doesn't last too long. He's got a Blink Dagger already, so easy initiations for him. And it's going to be not finding anything. He's going to likely run into the entire 4FC team. He blinks forward really aggressively, tries to go on Wraith King, but no avail. And Clockwork spots out everyone. And there's the Sentry Ward being placed, making sure that Moonlight Shadow isn't used to escape. And no kills, as I don't foresee any kills happening for a little bit of time, just due to the fact 4FC are trying to play it very safe and a very non-risk draft, is the best way I can kind of put it. As they don't have the opportunity to really find the pickoffs at the moment. They don't have great initiation other than Clockwork hooking in. And Clockwork hooking in at this point is not a great option. As who do you hook on? Spectre, Rubic's about the only one you can hook on and be safe. And everyone else is just way too tanky or way too annoying to actually hook in on. Centaur pops the ultimate, and it's going to be Nyx Assassin who's found out. Pops the Spike Carapace, and he should go down here. It's going to be a good trade, as that's a pretty big killing spree going over to the Wraith King. Boomski getting fat. He's picked up Blade Mail already. Gives him that extra mana that he needs to survive and actually get his ultimate off. The Wraith King did lose his ultimate for that. But just the Wraith King ultimate, not terrible. Especially considering it's level 2. If it was level 1 ultimate, it would have been worth it to pop. But level 2, definitely not. Morphling has finished his Ethereal Blade 22 minutes in. Not the greatest time for your first item. Not terrible, but not good. And with that, he's going to be doing pretty well. Puck does try and kill him off. He tries to more strength, but to no avail, as Puck can't find the kill. And Morphling just way too tanky. He morphed all his strength, but that's going to cost him his mana pool, as it's pretty expensive to actually morph. And as we see here, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous how much it costs to morph agility back. So he's going to be without a very strong Ethereal Blade for a good while, so he doesn't have the strength to just keep the agility low. Puck going to blink forward, they spot Clockwork out, and Clockwork's pretty dead at this point. They do have to burn the Centaur ultimate, but here's going to be the engagement. Spectre does pop her own ultimate, but no real need. Take the easy pick off on the Clockwork, back away. You've stolen Moonlight Shadow on the Rubic, so that's a big win to have that ability for a little bit. And it's going to be another tower by Nerdzone. They've taken all the outer towers so far, but that's going to greatly restrict the fire of Morphling, and that's exactly what you need to do if you're up against a farmer like a Morphling or any farmer that goes to a jungle. Take the outer towers early and make sure that you can apply pressure in the enemy jungle, and in this case they're doing exactly that. If you're going to go farm down bottom, you pretty much have to give up this tower, and they might have to anyways. Their entire team's here, but the question is, will they be able to initiate and back up? Playing it safe by Nerdzone, not wanting to go in. Morphling does not have a replicate up, so they could have gone in and done some decent damage, but instead they're going to play it safe, let Spectre farm, get her ultimate back. And at this point, I'm really kind of surprised she didn't put more points in the ultimate, as you generally want to get that extra duration on the illusions. That 1 extra second likely means 1 or 2 extra attacks. But instead, she's gone for just maxing out everything else. And it's not a terrible idea, it's just not the optimal build. She's gone Sanjin Yasha as well. Another one of those kind of fear of the Shadow Demon moments. As she just doesn't have the standard Spectre build. Doesn't have the Fusible Blade, doesn't have the Radiance. And it's just not an optimal build. We'll see what she's actually going to go next, and I'd have to say a tank item of some sort, because she's not tanky enough to really just go in there and soak all the damage and let the dispersion do the actual damage. So I expect something like a Heart, or I really don't think you can go BKB this game, but Spectre can be in a lot of trouble. It has ultimate up in 3 seconds. You could just pop it in, teleport away. Instead, just going to throw the dagger. Moonlight Shadow is popped, as Rubic really showing off. Morphling going to be in a bit of trouble as they do spot him out. Question is, will they go in? Centaur pops the ultimate, but there's a Sentry Ward there. Nyx Assassin in a bit of trouble. Spectre pops the ultimate, and Shadow Demon lives with a little bit of health, but no dust is there. Boomski in a lot of trouble. He has his ultimate up, but that's not going to be enough. Or maybe it will, as it's only been the Shadow Demon taken down for the Puck and Nyx Assassin. Centaur gets killed thanks to a beautifully placed Cog. And Spectre going to fall in the end unless she just gets lucky. And no, she doesn't. 4FC almost evening up this game. Looked like a good engagement for Nerdzone. But 4FC just don't have the ability. Or 4FC has the ability to just win the fight. I'm really shocked that they won that decisively. They lost the Shadow Demon for all that. Take the trade, please. Please, we'll trade our Shadow Demon for everyone on your team all day long. And now Morphling goes for the Midas. Really surprised he didn't pick that up before the Ethereal Blade. just to get it going already. But Midas Gaming on the side of 4FC, not the worst option in the world. They've got a late game advantage. They have a pretty decently farmed Wraith King, and it's only going to get worse from here for NerdZone. They have a lineup that's all about dominating this mid game. Puck going for more Dagon points. And I'm not sure the levels in Dagon are going to be that effective unless he just hits the Morphling and wants to burst him down. It's a really big risk at this point to go for that, but I'm not sure it's going to pay off. And having something like a Scythe of Ice would be much preferable to just hex the Morphling, kill him before he can start morphing strength. As he didn't go Lincoln Sphere, he didn't go a defensive item, he'll likely have to go BKB next just to prevent all the stuns and silences on him. But that's no big deal. He's likely going to have to pick up a defensive item at some point, and BKB would be the optimal choice at this point. NerdZone going to pop the smoke, take an easy Roshan. I don't see anyone from 4FC contesting this, unless they get a good flare from Clockwork. He has it available. Question is, will he spend it? And without seeing anyone in the top lane farming it out, or the mid lane farming this, you have to expect they're at Roshan. And they don't have a great lineup to do it. No minus armor. Nothing really significant on Roshan's side. And it's going to be a pretty easy Roshan, but one that 4FC should have easily spotted out thanks to where everyone was. Puck going to throw up the orb. Clockwork going to come in, and Clockwork snatches the Aegis. Nicely played, but at the cost of the Shadow Demon. And that's pretty big, as you don't have a Spectre with Aegis. You give up 2 kills, but I think that's worth it. And it's going to be Spectre going Vanguard, most likely, picking up a Stout Shield. And already the Vitality boost, and I think this is a terrible choice this game. Just because it's too late. If she went Vanguard before Sanj and Yasha, I would have said, okay, I can deal with that. That would have been a fine choice. But picking it up this late is not going to prevent enough damage. Morphling's going to have too much in terms of right clicks. Same thing with Mirana. It's not that particularly useful. She's already picked up the Manta style, already has pretty solid damage overall. And there's a pretty good amount of burst as well from the Wraith King, just whacking at you. Wraith King is going to be under a little pressure top, but he just teleports away. The rest of NerdZone were just not there in time. And it's going to be a pipe for Centaur, and I think a pipe is an excellent choice here. It prevents the burst damage from Morphling. It really ensures that you don't get shotgunned down. And with Morphling pretty far off his next item, I'd expect to see NerdZone going right in for a big push. Wraith King does go for the Maelstrom. And Maelstrom is a good choice on Wraith King. It allows him to push, it gives him the attack speed to lifesteal and crit more. The only problem is, I still think he's going to be kited around a bit too much by this lineup. And at this game, I would just ignore the Wraith King. Especially considering he's going to have the level 3 ultimate up in a few seconds. You ignore Boomski, you kill the Morphling, kill Mirana, and just kind of kite him around. He's not a big threat at this point in time, especially considering as soon as he pops the Blade Mail, you're going to practically be killing yourself on him. This is one reason why the Wraith King generally go for a mobility item early. Force Staff if you need extra survivability, and Blink Dagger if you need more initiation power. As the game will be paused. Not sure exactly why, but NerdZone likely has a disconnect or something. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully it's a short one, but this will give us a decent chance to just really catch up on items overall. And just the overall score pictures, we can pull it up right here. Just taking a look at kills, deaths, assists, giving everybody a little picture of everything. And Puck has gone all the way up to Dagon 3, and I think that's a really greedy build. And he's going to be Dagon 4 soon. So a ton of damage, and this is going to try and counteract the Morphling shotgun is the only thing I can think of. If he's sitting on 1500 health, gets hit with one other magical damage ability, he's going to take a ton of magic damage. Just hit with a Fade Bolt and the Dagon, he's going to practically be taking 1300 points of damage due to the fact he has damage amplification on him from magic with the Ethereal Blade. Rubic has picked up the Battery Assault, not a great spell, but he has gone Force Staff. as Atonement, just wanting to be able to move around the fight. He's picked up an Urn as well, which gives him the mana regeneration, just constantly spam out Fade Bolt. It's a pretty short cooldown at max level, as it's only 10 seconds, and it's great for just harassing everybody. Shadow Demon, with basically nothing. He's got the wand, he's got the arcane boots. Clockwork, Force Staff, Urn, Bottle, decent. It's not where you really want him to be, as you kind of wanted him as a core, but instead they transitioned the Wraith King, so it's just alright. And he's going to be picking up likely the full Mjolnir next, just for the extra attack speed. And I really think he needs a movement item at this point. He's got to pick up either a Force Staff or Blink Dagger, as I don't see a great way to get him into the fights. And especially with Dream Coil up. He could go BKB next, as BKB would be a great option just to prevent the Dream Coil, prevent being slowed and stunned for a few seconds. Centaur has finished off the pipe, which should give his team a great advantage. The only downside to Nerd Zone is that I don't see a mech on their team, as Nick Assassin likely to pick up, I'd say go Dagon. Just go all in on the burst damage. And say, if you're going to go shotgun, we'll double Dagon you. And basically end your life on the side of Morphling. I think that'd be a great option. Force Staff doesn't give him a whole lot. Spectre, does she have anything really? No, she's going... I would want her to go Heart. It looked like she was going to go for Vanguard. But if that Vitality Booster goes into a Heart, I'm okay with that. That's the optimal choice here. You go Heart, you get a ton of health. Then you go back for a big damage item and say, we're going to crush you at that point. I just don't foresee a Vanguard being a good option at this point. There's too much damage everywhere else on the map. Okay, they can get this pause on the roll. I hate when they do these incredibly long pauses, but we'll take a quick look at the top fight that's going to break down. And Satan against Chrilee is going to be an interesting engagement, as it all depends upon how much support either side is willing to lend. They do see each other at this point, especially due to the Clockwork Flare, as Satan knows he's caught out here. The question is, does he just blink away and play it safe, or does he try and bait it out so that the Centaur can jump in, along with the Spectre ultimate, as it's available at this point? I think that's too greedy of an option. And there we go, game on the way. Pause a little longer than I would have liked, but still, Morphling just going to back away. Nixess doing the smart thing and blinking, and no engagement. They had too much time to think about it. If it was the heat of the moment, they probably would have gone for a fight, but instead they go for the safe option, just backing away and playing it very safe. Puck is spotted out thanks to a very well placed rocket flare. And a big thing here is the Spectre doesn't have the Aegis, and there's not going to be another Aegis for a long time. And Spectre really needed that to make these fights happen. So it was a great steal by Clockwork. It cost them 2 kills in the Shadow Demon Clockwork, but still, without the Aegis, you can't dive deep, you can't play ultra aggressive in your farming. And Spectre didn't go for a great farming build, so she's going to have to try and win fairly soon, as I don't see Nerd Zone able to take this late outside of just picking up a big rapier item. Nyx Assassin's starting to burn away the Wraith King's mana, but no way they kill him at this point, especially with 2 lives. And they can't burn out his mana, as he's gone pretty heavily into the mana. As he picked up the Blade Mail, that 10 intelligence really provides him a great buffer. And he can always tread switch at the last second, which would give him close to enough mana. And there's the Hyperstone, so he should have his Mjolnir in just a few moments. Shadow Demon gonna just continually try and push the middle lane out, just so that his team has better places to engage in. If the middle lane it pushes in, you're gonna force someone to come there, and every other fight's gonna be 3v or 4v5 or 4v4, and trading someone like a Shadow Demon. So we're gonna see a big fight down bottom. Ultimate is popped by Spectre. Clockwork gets out, and I don't see Dust used properly. As Clockwork does re-engage, he is dusted up. Arrow does fly, hits the Nyx Assassin. He does have his Vendetta, but no way as he gets shotgunned down. Centaur with a good stomp, but Wraith King returning a lot of damage at this point. He finally goes down. Mirana goes down as Puck picked her off with a Dagon. Centaur is here, and Centaur falls to the wrath of the Morphling. Spectre decides to go in the trees and just teleport away. Big win for 4FC. And now it's about even. As Puck manages to sneak a kill. And now it's even a bigger win, as they managed to have the creeps take out the top tower. And I have to say, nicely played by Nerdzone, knowing that their minions would take it. Wraith King in a lot of troubles. He could go down, and this would make it a huge win. That Dagon proving useful. 700 burst, plus the Rubic burst, and the continued stun of the Wraithfire Blast. And with Wraithfire Blast and the lift, you can pretty much chain CC someone for a good while. You throw the Wraithfire Blast out, you lift him up, and then you Wraithfire Blast again. They're stunned for a good 3 to 6 seconds, with very little time to do anything in between. Just due to the fact the Wraithfire Blast slow is so annoying to actually move from. And there we go. Puck has finished off the Dagon. 800 damage, plus his full combo, and it wouldn't surprise me if he went E-Blade from here. Just go E-Blade, go all out damage, and go for dominating Puck build. Does that really turn the fight around as he picked off several kills in the end? And that's what I like to see out of Pucks. It would have been safer to go for the Hex. It probably would have been the smarter play overall. But screw it. Go for damage, go for fun, and that's what I like to see. Take a quick look at the graphs, as it's pretty even overall. No team really ahead in either side. And Puck bursts down the Morphling. Wow, did he die fast. And with Morphling down, this should be an easy kill on Mirana. She could leap away, but nope, it's on cooldown, and even if she tried, she was dream coiled up. This is now Nerdzone in a commanding lead. They could go on Shadow Demon, and yes, that would be Shadow Demon dead. Ouch, Wraith King takes half his health from that Dagon Blast, and it'll be up in another 10 seconds. Wraith King gonna fall, still has the ultimate up, but whoop-de-doo, Morph King has bought back. He does have a shotgun available. Will he use it? And he does not have to use it already. They were hoping the Morphling used it already so that he could get the bonus damage from Puck, but instead, not in time. And so far, not a good engagement overall. Not sure the buyback is worth it. They got the Rubic, but they're going to pick up the Nyx Assassin. And with Nyx Assassin going down as well, the buyback is worth it for Morphling. They've gotten 2 kills. Well worth the buyback. 2 kills they wouldn't have gotten. And he picks up a bit more agility in the Yasha, going for his Manta style, saying, no, we don't need defense. As Spectre picks up the heart and says, I'm too tanky. And I like this choice on Spectre. Don't go for a Vanguard. Go for the heart. Go for the big item. You're the highest net worth in the game, and no one's going to really contest Spectre late outside of the Morphling. And Morphling is not farmed up enough to contest the Spectre. As nice as Morphling's gold is, and he has good gold, as he's 3rd highest, right about at the Spectre and Puck level, it's not enough. It doesn't feel like he's that farmed. Most of it's in that Ethereal Blade and Yasha, and a little bit's in the Midas, which is still just kind of taking up a slot. And is, while it's helping him get golden experience, it's a bit of a sink at this point in terms of item slots. He's going to have to sell either his wand or Midas soon, as he's already had to throw away his bottle. At this point, Spectre just needs to pick up a big damage item, and at this point, Basher would honestly not be a terrible item. Just throw out and run in, deal some good damage. He has enough movement speed to stick on anyone. And just throw out a Basher or 2 and CC everybody to death. It wouldn't be a terrible choice. It wouldn't help our illusions out. Diffusal Blade would be the other option here. Just to burn the Wraith King's mana out, burn out everything else, like the Morphling's mana as well. It'd be the other optimal choice, and I think that's the route she's going to have to go with this game. It doesn't do good work against towers, which is Spectre's big weakness. Shadow Demon does get disruption on the Morphling, and Morphling's just going to run out there with an illusion. They're not going to fall for it, but ouch! Ouch! Poor Shadow Demon. Just got murdered by the Puck blink in, and that's the big problem with playing anyone weak against it. And ouch! Nyx Assassin goes down. Mirana takes a big chunk of damage as well. Pipe is popped, but it's worth it for the tower. You take a good trade. Nyx Assassin worth more. No, they're worth about the same. They're both level 11. So it was an even trade other than the tower went in Nerdzone's favor. And that shows the power of Morphling. Surprised Nyx Assassin didn't get that Spike Carapace off. But I guess he had to feel he had enough health to survive. And he is going Force Staff, which is a little bit surprising. They don't just go all in on the Dagon. If you go all in on Dagon, you say, Morphling, you're going to have to morph a lot of strength. It looks like Puck's going to go down and fight him. But Morphling does not go down. Puck, not enough damage just yet. Needs a little bit more as he's working on his Scythe Device. And Scythe Device can be a good option this game after the Dagon. I would like to see Ethereal Blade just go all in, say, we're going to win, we're going to dominate. But instead, he's going to play it safe, go for the Scythe of Ice. Just make sure Morphling can't either morph strength and burst him down that way, or force him to stay on a higher strength level at all times, as he has to stay pretty high in terms of strength at this point. An interesting choice here to actually just use the bottle to actually heal himself up. Morphling's going to go teleport out. And Puck finds a kill on the Shadow Demon, who's just kind of wandering around. Morphling going to go in on the Centaur. Not sure this is the right option. Centaur pops the Spike Carapace. And it's going to be Morphling in a bit of trouble. Manta Illusions are popped. Spectre pops her own ultimate. Question is, where does she go? And she does go down bottom. Rubic with a nice lift. Steals the morph, so he's going to have a ton of HP. Morphling not in a great spot as he has no agility. And ouch, Morphling takes a lot of damage. Chrilee going to go down. Takes a long time to do so, but he had no hope to survive. And now Rubic has morph, so he should get all the health in the world as he continues to more and more strength. Would love to see an armor item on this point. Just go mech, get that free 5 armor, and basically be okay throughout the rest of the game. Wraith King throughout all of this does pick up a kill and a tower up top. Really didn't think Nyx Assassin would try and defend that. Figured he was just kind of scouting the area, but instead he goes in, and he's going to have the heart soon. The question is, will Boomski be able to carry? And I'm not sure he is. He's going to be kited around pretty heavily. As we've seen in the last few engagements, he just doesn't have the ability to stand his ground and fight. As Nerdzone just kind of run in, do their thing, then back away as they have the Centaur ultimate to escape and run around the fight. They've got good CC and the ability for just lift and throw them away. I'm not sure that we're going to see any significant engagements here from 4FC where the Wraith King's a big factor. He just doesn't feel like he's going to be strong enough this entire game. Clockwork finally finishes off his Aghanim Scepter so he can initiate. Problem is, I'm not sure how effective that's going to be. A mech would have been a much better item at this point. Just the ability to keep his team alive, give him some extra armor. They don't need an initiator really, as they have Morphling just burn someone and then run away. And Spectre does do the right thing, finishes off the Diffusal Blade, and goes for the mana burn, so Wraith King is going to be even less effective. His ultimate requires a lot of mana if he wants to use anything else. He has a good amount of base intelligence, considering he's picked up at least one mana item already. Spectre pops the ultimate and goes to town. Spectre picks up the Aegis as well, and no contest. And this is going to be Wraith King going down. Dagon was popped. Arrow does fly. It's on the Nyx. Nyx is going to be in a lot of trouble. But he does go down pretty easily. And this is Boomski going to town. But this is the whole problem with their lineup. They just don't have great follow-up. And that's the Wraith King going down. That Dagon. Whew, Vlado is playing well in both games. Wraith King's had to buy back as the Shadow Demon goes down. Morphling does do a good bit of work, but it's not enough. As Rubic trolls him with the waveform to seal the deal on the kill. And that's Clockwork going down. Puck and Vlado looking good. Nerdzone is, I'm really liking their style. They're playing very aggressive. They're getting a lot of good trade-offs throughout the entire game. And they've been incredibly fun to watch over these two games. Vlado especially. As in the first game, he didn't play as much of a burst damage carry as he played the Dragon Knight. He basically came in every fight and just cleaned up and looked amazing doing it. This game, he's doing it with Puck, walking in, getting that first initial burst, then just playing cleanup with the Dagon. Cooldown's 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds, he can pretty much kill whoever he wants with his full combo. And, youch. That's 600 damage on the Wraith King after magic resistance. And Wraith King doesn't have a buyback at this point. He has his ultimate, but as we saw in that last fight, it's not of any real use. He almost has to go Sanjin Yasha this game just to be able to run in and actually fight someone, as he's been kited really effectively. That's the whole reason why Wraith King is picked as a support generally. You pick up the one item, like a Blink Dagger, then you kind of transition to a semi-carry, and you blink in and die to get your team an advantage. This time, Wraith King is pretty much all their damage outside of the Morphling, who's not in a great spot at the moment. He's got Manta and Ethereal Blade, and that's not enough. As Puck just walks in and blows another Dagon charge on the Wraith King. And he's just never going to be in a real fighting shape. He's always taken down to about a third of his health before the fight starts. And that's a lot of health that's just not used in the engagement if you take it down with a poke. And that's all that Puck is at this moment, is a giant poke machine. That's perfectly alright. That's all he really needs, is you have the Spectre to finish everyone off. He should have her Butterfly up at a pretty reasonable time if they actually let this game go long enough. Because I don't foresee NerdZone wanting to take this game super late, as the Midases will finally start really coming in. But they haven't been that effective as of late. They provided a lot of extra gold, but what has that gold done? And it's done nothing, and Wraith King's now at half health. Oh, I could watch this Puck all day long, as he just toys with the enemy team. And it's just really impressive to see how well he's been played. The question will be right now, what does Morphling pick up next? He's got to go with a defensive item, I feel, just so he doesn't get bursted down. And he can actually morph more agility. He doesn't have full agility at this point. He's got 30 points in strength. That's 30 extra agility. That's 60 plus damage on your Ethereal Blade. That's a lot of damage you just don't have. And it's extra attack speed and physical damage. Morphling just doesn't have the damage at the moment to really carry, especially with Rubic and Puck around to silence him up so that he can't morph properly in a fight, and burst him down with a Lift Dagon combo. And Mirana had a lot of trouble, but nice use of the Manta Style to get out, as she took a lot of damage in that short burst. She could have popped the BKB to be especially safe, which is I think what they were wanting to do. But instead, though, except the fact she leaped out and is now fearing for her life. More tankiness coming out on the side of NerdZone. Centaur finally finished up his heart, and I just don't see the damage from 4FC coming out anytime soon. Morphling practically needs 2 items at this point, as Mirana is going to go down. Looks like a burst. She does pop the BKB, so Rubic is going to fall. Spectre does pop the ultimate, comes in, tries to kill off the Shadow Demon, but not in time. But Shadow Demon very low, and there's the dust, but it does hit who it needs to hit. It hits the Wraith King. Puck is here. Nice silence. And Morphling goes down. That's the problem with picking up an Ethereal Blade. You get Spike Carapace, then you get Dagoned, and you can't do anything. Chrilee feeling so sad this game. He had a terrible laning phase. He made a great comeback in the mid-game. But you just can't do anything with an Ethereal Blade on a Morphling. When you have a Dagon 5 Puck, you pretty much can't shotgun the Nyx Assassin. There's no point in shotgunning the Spectre or the Centaur Windrunner. The only one you can shotgun are Puck and the Rubic. And whoop-de-doo, if you shotgun Puck, he can easily just run away. He needs 1 health, and that's pretty much all he needs the entire game, the way he's been playing. And he does eventually fall, loses the gem. As the Centaur does pop the ultimate, Puck buys back. Not sure he's going to be able to get in the fight quick enough, but Spectre is there doing the damage. And there's just no killing her at this point. Burning through 3,000 hit points plus evasion. A little too strong. They finally take down the Centaur. But that took everything they had and a buyback by the Morphling. Worth it, but still not worth it in the fact that it took all that to take down the Centaur and the Puck. That's just not a good sign. You have to be able to take someone down faster than that if you want to win the game, especially considering you're taking a lot of damage from the Spectre at this point. She's got the Diffusal Blade up. She'll have evasion in just a few moments, or a bit more evasion and attack speed with the Butterfly. Morphling takes down the bottom tower with a Spectre illusion, which is a pretty good illusion to have, as it does have the mana burn on it. And it's an illusion you're not going to take down anytime soon, as it's just one of the strongest ones you can possibly get. Problem comes here is I still don't see any damage for 4FC. They've got nothing, really. Morphling is going to have his next item up pretty soon. And what's the courier bringing out? Teleport scroll. So not telling us. It pretty much has to go butterfly. I don't think you can go BKB this game on Morphling, as it's not enough survivability to go full agility at this point. As Puck can catch you off guard with that Blink Hex Dagon, and he's dead. And as you saw in that last fight, you can't shotgun anyone unless you have a replicant away, or Puck goes boom and takes you out. Roshan should be up pretty soon, as it's not a whole lot of time before we get into bonus time, and I think that's the word go for Nerd Zone. They're up pretty heavily in terms of gold. It's about 5,000. It's not as much as I thought. I thought it'd be up in the 8,000 range. Experience is right about 8,000, which was a bit higher, but it just doesn't feel like it. It feels like the gold and experience lead are much higher for Nerd Zone. They feel like they have a commanding lead overall. And it's going to be Spectre in a bit of trouble as Wraith King does come up. He's finished off his heart, but what does it really mean? He can't jump in on the Spectre. Spectre just runs away. And it's going to be a quick Aegis respawn, about 30 seconds. So that's a big advantage for Nerd Zones. They don't have to wait around and let Morphling possibly get his next item and buyback. He's going to have to choose between his next item or buyback. And with 3 minutes on his buyback, it's no choice. Pick up the item now. As Morphling just jumps away as soon as the Spectre jumped in. There should be a smoke here by Nerd Zone. And there we go. There's the smoke. Rubic's picked up the Aghanim Scepter, which is a great item in this game. There are a lot of good spells to steal. You can steal everything and basically just go to town. Steal the arrow, throw it out. Steal a Wraithfire Blast, throw it out. The short cooldown is what makes the Scepter so incredibly effective, as he can steal multiple spells from the same person. Morphling in a bit of trouble, and youch. That should be game. No Morphling for 100 seconds. And that's the word go for Nerd Zone. Wraith King in a bit of trouble, as Force Staff almost there, but they don't want to go on him. Wraith King not the best target to actually go and attack at this point. Clockwork's going to hook in. Not sure exactly why he's trying to go into the full team without Morphling. And he's dead. Loco, no chance. Mirana BKB's out, but BKB, Manta style, and a bunch of meh stuff. She's not farmed up enough. She doesn't feel like she's at 16,000 gold. And that's the whole kind of feeling of this game. Nerd Zone's been ahead just by a little bit most of the game. It feels like 10, 12,000 gold most of the game, but it's not. Clockwork's bought back, and I'm not sure what Clockwork can do. He has got Aghanims and Force Staff. That's not enough. He needs something else. Wraith King gonna be in a bit of trouble. He's hexed up. Clockwork gonna go down. Puck should just be able to blink in and decides not to use Dagon. Saves it for the lonely Shadow Demon. Another multi-kill by the Puck. And that's game. No chance they come back from that. Mirana bought back, but what does a buyback really mean at this point? This Puck just waiting around. Mirana throws the arrow out, but no chance, as she gets blown to bits, losing most of her health with that Dagon. Excellent work, Vlado. Wraith King is still alive, but what does the Wraith King really bring at this point? Is he's basically crowd controlled to death. They might have a chance to kill Spectre, but the heart regeneration should kick in just a moment. Or maybe not, as they land an arrow. And that is the Spectre dead. Morphling has finally returned back to life. And he's got the makings of a Scotty, which would be pretty big. Problem comes in. He doesn't have buyback. Still down for 30 seconds. Spectre buys back and immediately rejoins the fight. Puck is there. He does get stunned out, but Hex on the Mirana, too strong. Spectre kills off the Wraith King, who does not have buyback. Morphling in a bit of trouble. Will Puck go in? No, he does not. But I don't think Morphling is long for this world. There's no gem. Centaur might have spotted him out, but at this point, what do you do if you're 4FC? They're just too far behind. They've had to burn way too many buybacks. And the golden experience graph for still, gold is not terribly in Nerd Zone's favor, if you don't count in the buybacks, but they bought back several times, and with Roshan being pretty free, I don't see any way to contest it at this point. It's going to be a good game in Nerd Zone's favor. 4FCs did play fairly well, but just not getting enough anywhere throughout the entire game. Their tri-lane failed as it wasn't in the proper lane in time. Their solo lanes didn't get enough. Morphling got shut down pretty hard. And you're up against a Spectre who now has a butterfly diffusal blade. And pretty much whatever she wants. The question is, yeah, it's going to be Aegis. Not sure exactly why she'd want Aegis. Just considering the fact she's already incredibly tanky. You took everything they had in the last engagement to bring her down, plus buybacks, which are not going to be online for the next engagement. And I think we're going to have to see Morphling sell out at this point just to be able to contest. A buyback is not useful on him. You buy back, possibly get one more Ethereal Blade combo on the Centaur or Spectre. Whoop-de-doo is the best thing I can say to that. As there's just not enough going in that engagement. At this point, Centaur could probably do the same thing. Buy the Shiva, buy a big armor piece. Probably Shivas or Assault Cross. I'd like to see Assault Cross just due to the fact that Nerdzone actually has to break the base and take down the first set of racks. And that's not easy to do. Spectre Illusion is going to be stolen, as Morphling will be able to steal an illusion, bring it back, and have the Shadow Demon disrupted to get more of those illusions. And this should be the final engagement. I don't see 4FC being able to stand for too long. Wraith King in a bit of trouble as he does get hoof stomped, takes a fair bit of damage, but no big deal. Ex-Assassin kind of playing bait at this point. Nice Force Staff away, doesn't get shotgun down. And Ex-Assassin wants to play bait, but he has to have his Spike Carapace up and just basically be hovering on the button. It's a great stun, it's a great way to set up a fight. Problem is, it's too easy of a bait. Spectre going to do the smart thing, push up in the top lane. There's no reason for her to engage anytime soon. She's upgraded the Diffusal Blade, so that it's going to be even stronger, a bit of extra agility and intelligence. And she's going to force someone up top. As soon as Morphling is seen up top, this is pretty much the word go. As I don't see any way for Nerdzone to really want to wait this out. But instead, they're going to. I'm still confused why they haven't just said charge. As much of a failure chance as they have, it's pretty slim. They can just run in, kill the racks, back away. They'll probably lose the Nyx Assassin and Rubic, but as I said earlier, whoop-de-doo, you lost some supports but killed racks. Trade, please. Clockwork doing a good move here, just making sure they don't run right up. Problem is, it's placed a little early, and Nyx Assassin takes a lot of damage. So it's not going to prevent any melee creeps from running in. Pipe is popped. Wraith King in a lot of trouble as Morphling just gets melted. Wow, did he go down fast. He does not have buyback. He's short gold. He picked up the Scotty and does not have it, so this should be game. Morphling's down for at least 80 seconds. They got the Nyx Assassin for it, but they've just lost the Shadow Demon. And Adaptive Strike is stolen by Rubic, and now he steals Starstorm. And with 3 down, Clockwork does not have buyback for a long time. Shadow Demon does, but what does a Shadow Demon really do? That should be good game, and I'm surprised they don't just push to end it. But I guess they're playing it ultra safe. As Rubic throws out the arrow, and should be a pretty easy kill on Mirana. But Shadow Demon does buy back and does save the Mirana for a few seconds. He's dead. As I said, it doesn't matter too much what the Shadow Demon's doing at this point. Shadow Demon's all about winning the mid game and stealing someone who's super important. And in terms of the disruption, stealing their illusions, there's no one that's super important in terms of illusions this game. And Wraith King just doesn't do anything. He's kited around and stunned out. That's why he needs that BKB, but he needed damage as well. So he went for the heart, and it doesn't matter. There's just no damage. There's not enough survivability on 4FC. And good game as soon as these final racks fall. Surprised 4FC haven't called it yet, as it's over. As much as I want to try and put hope in this game, there's no hope to be found. Arrow does fly as Clockwork has come back. Morphling's back in the engagement. Nice use of cogs, will get the puck killed. He's down for 2 minutes. And they're going to go on Spectre, but a little too late. And that's just the Aegis. They should be able to kill Spectre again if they've sent everything at him. But no, just no. His puck brought back. And they said, boom shakalaka, as they finished the game in style. Killing pretty much everyone but the Mirana. Will they fountain dive for it? Yeah. Easy kill. And that should be game. Well played by NerdZone overall. They just dominated that game. They looked good throughout. And they looked fairly impressive pretty well. 4FC is not a pushover team, but they outsmarted them early, and that gave them a great advantage to snowball the entire game. It was 57 minutes, but it didn't feel that long, as there was pretty constant action and NerdZone just dominating throughout the rest of the game. Welcome everyone to the Keys of the Game, where we watch some of the highlights and big turning points in the game we just watched. The first key to the game is NerdZone's laning decisions and this pretty easy first blood. Loco comes in just a little too close. Satan has a double damager and just wrecks in. And that is a free first blood on the Clockwork, and the laning decision to run an aggressive tri-lane, giving Spectre pretty much free farm when she would have been up against a Mirana, Wraith King, and Shadow Demon, is a pretty much the most important part of this game. It means that we have a level 1 Shadow Demon, level 1 Wraith King, entering a lane with multiple level 2s, and a Spectre who's getting close to level 3. The next key to the game comes in as Nyx Assassin tries to Vendetta up. He's caught out right as he gets the Vendetta off on the Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon's going to take a fall. Same thing with the Nyx Assassin as he actually rotates away at the last second. Clockwork goes down. Spectre trades her life for the kill. Wraith King is eventually going to clean up the Rubic, but it's a pretty important fight as Morphling misses his waveform and just takes a ton of damage. Centaur is still alive with a sliver of health left, and it's a 2-for-4 engagement in favor of NerdZone. And this just spells doom for NerdZone as they lost a ton of gold and a ton of experience in that engagement. The next key to the game comes in right as Adoa dives Strangby under the tower. Strangby takes a good bit of damage before teleports arrive, but several from 4FC come in. Nice arrow by Strangby means Spectre's going to go down at the cost of our own life. Problem is, everyone else from NerdZone is right here, and they just melt Clockwork and the Wraith King, as they have no chance to survive. Chrilee's going to have a good opportunity to escape, but Vlado plays this incredibly well, just continually harassing him around, making sure that he's forced to walk all the way back to base. Chrilee gets a little greedy going back, trying to pick up the farm. Sliz jumps in, and it's an easy kill as everyone jumps in on him. And that's another 4-for-1 exchange. And this just goes all downhill from here as 4FC get crushed in another engagement. The next key to the game comes in as Clockwork goes for a kill on the Spectre. Loco lands a beautiful hook shot, but he doesn't get a great set of cogs off until Spectre's already pretty far away and is able to just run around him. Greenlight Shadow was stolen and used by the Rubic, so there's going to be a pretty big re-engage. Centaur pops the ultimate, and they do a great job of isolating and almost killing the Shadow Demon. But this becomes a big issue as Shadow Demon eventually falls, but that extra time means that Nyx Assassin was taken out. And this just becomes a big massacre as Wraith King falls, but he does have the ultimate. He's able to come back. Centaur's taken out thanks to a beautiful push out. And Spectre eventually falls. This gives 4FC the opportunity to make a comeback in the game, as they're able to get several kills in this engagement. Rubic is able to survive, but that's not enough. 4-for-1 finally in favor of 4FC, and this is their best chance to come back in the game. Final key of the game comes in as Morphling is barely able to escape a nice gank. Sliz is jumping in, but just can't find anyone. Decent set of dust is used, but Clockwork, it's a beautiful hook. Problem is, Nyx Assassin's in a lot of trouble and is taken out before the fight really begins. Wraith King just gets melted by the damage, but he has his ultimate and is able to stick around. Mirana was dunked in that last engagement, and Morphling's able to go to town on the Spectre in this engagement. She backs away and is able to teleport out to safety. But this is where Puck comes in and basically just ends the game for NerdZone. As he's able to pick up one extra kill, he's going to jump forward and basically make the Wraith King look pretty silly in a moment. As, along with the Rubic, they are able to just melt him down. And that just spells the end for 4FC. As this Puck gets off to such a good start that he just continually blows up the rest of the team with a Dagon. as the game progresses, and it basically is over from here. Thank you for watching this Gamecast by Pander. If you wish to see more, please check out my YouTube and Twitch links below. Thank you again for watching.